What if I told you that the unwritten rules of work for the working class are part of why working class men fell behind? Back in 2009, UK researchers did this study about why working class men were unemployed. When manufacturing companies started exploiting labor overseas, a lot of manufacturing workers were left out of jobs, just like here in the US, particularly in the Rust Belt. Researchers in this article claimed that at that time, 6 million service jobs opened. They were shifting from a manufacturing to a service economy, and hardly any of those jobs went to men, and they were curious about why. And they found that customer service work directly conflicted with working class man values, which are never back down, don't take any shit, stand up for yourself, and valuing physical toughness. Customer service requires the opposite, being deferential, taking shit, swallowing your pride, displaying emotions that you do not feel. This wasn't a lack of skill transfer, this was a culture clash. And 15 years later, I'm still being brought into manufacturing companies to address this issue because it's still a promotion pipeline issue. For example, I was at a manufacturing conference this spring. They were telling me we work with a lot of manufacturing companies. We have great blue collar workers. We promote them up to the white collar level. We want them to run the stores, and then they piss off the customers. Can you help us train our leaders on how we can approach this issue without emasculating these workers? And there were women workers as well, but they were particularly talking about that it seemed to be a dude issue. And so I decided to focus on 3 of the unwritten rules from my research for this group. The shift to independence, because it influences how they build relationships. Speaking indirectly, because it influences how they communicate. And schmoozing, because that is customer service, right? And I worked with these director, middle manager levels in a workshop on how they can approach improving customer service while being culturally relevant. And it went really well. Because there is a value for your customers, for you to have people running the shop who understand the boots on the ground labor. When I go to an auto shop, I want to talk to somebody who understands cars, not who only has an MBA. They can have both. That's fantastic. But the guy with just an MBA probably knows about as much as cars as I do. I can change my oil, but other than that, but the problem they were running into is having a very knowledgeable worker who customers perceived as rude. So I worked with them on identifying skills, culturally relevant training, and empowering people instead of just telling them they're being unprofessional. Because we need to acknowledge these invisible barriers exist in order for them to go away. And this is why I'm releasing my book this fall on the unwritten rules of work. It'll include research, but also business case studies. And a pre-release chapter is available linked in my bio. One of the unwritten rules I talked about in this situation, the unwritten rule of indirect communication, that's the one I let out early. Let me know what you think about it and give it to me straight. Before we wrap up, if any of this resonates with you and you're ready to see how it can be integrated into your work life, you can book with me on my website. If you're not sure where to get started, the first 20 minutes are free, and that's the white button above me. And if you're ready to dive into coaching, click the purple one on the top. I'll put the links in the description of this video.